Well, hello everyone. Happy New Year. And welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Happy New Year.
Sounded like the ball just dropped. Happy New Year.
Did it drop?
Kind
Did
of.
you guys
drop?
see the Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper hijinks?
No.
Oh man, they were trashed on the air.
What happened?
Well, there was this one part that's become a meme. Was they were doing like a live interview with John Mayer, but John Mayer was in Tokyo, and it was it was like 10 hours earlier in the day, so he was like already up from the night before. Meanwhile, and he was in this bar. By the way, he was live from some bar called the Cat Bar, and there was like 5 cats just roaming around John Mayer's table, and it was making the Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper laugh hysterically. Like, it was really funny. It's like the most wheels off television you've ever seen.
How would I Google that? What was it on?
I would just do Cat Bar, John Mayer Cat Bar.
Okay.
That's got to be it. It's really funny.
I love John
Anderson
Mayer.
Cooper,
I know.
And I love
he
all
gets the
3 of those.
giggles. That's all she wrote.
I've never seen him get the giggles.
Oh man, it's funny.
That's
It
funny.
happens.
So was it on New Year's Eve
Yes,
on that show?
Yes, it was like on the air on CNN, and it was late. And they were drinking. I think that's why they put them on, because those 2 guys get pretty tore up together.
Which 2?
Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper,
Oh, really?
the 2 silver
Silver
foxes.
foxes. What is this Veuve Clicquot up here?
It was just it's just a box. Some champagne came in it like
Yeah.
a year ago, and the box was kind of
It's cool.
audio themed, and I just keep like spare parts in there.
I like it.
Well, Tom
you.
has this cool little box, but it's usually for champagne, and that looks like a tape.
Yeah. I think maybe that marketing is what's made me want to buy it.
Yeah,
it's really
I'll
cute.
bet so.
Hey, how was Disney, Tom?
A blast. I hadn't been for 33
Oh,
years.
blast.
I really did have a good time.
Because you were at Epcot and played golf, right?
I just played golf the 3rd day. We were there for 3 days. The first 2 days we went to the park, and then the 3rd day I played golf, and my wife and child stayed back at the hotel. And that hotel has a lazy river. I had never been in one of those. New favorite thing.
Which
They're
which
so
hotel?
fun. Which hotel
It
was
was
it?
the Four Seasons right outside of Disney World.
See, I
in
would enjoy
Orlando.
that.
Yeah,
And
That's
their pool section
That's
was
the
amazing.
circumstance that I could go to Disney World.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You don't even have to step foot in Disney World.
Well, I mean, it's close enough to where it's only like
Exactly.
10 minutes away. It had a golf course, and it had a really nice pool. So that
Well,
was kind of
that's
the perfect spot,
nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
I've never seen that. I didn't even know there was a Four Seasons down there.
I remember when Kurt and I took the girls when they were young, and we went down there, and I swear I had nightmares about mice forever. It was like,
Did you see mice? What happened?
No, it was just Mickey Mouse. It was just
Oh, that is
it was
hilarious.
just
You're afraid of human-shaped mice?
no,
That
it was
is a crack up.
just too much. It was, I mean, it was so crowded, and it was. We were in the summer. We went in the summer. Ridiculous. It was so hot. The lines were so.
And it doesn't matter if you have a guide. It doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter how much money you have. I am telling you, Disney wore me out.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
It's like a Vegas. I'm very limited. I don't even ever want to go back to Disney World. But if I had to, it would be a 2-day max.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
It's
You
kids'
can
Vegas.
only do it 2 days.
It is Kids Vegas.
It's kids Vegas.
It
That is
is.
the most hilarious point, and I completely agree.
And you can't stay in Vegas that long.
No.
No,
timestamp.
no, you can't be there for longer than 2 days either.
So, Janice, are you feeling better? You were so sick
I was
over the holidays.
so sick.
I got bronchitis.
I got bronchitis, and it was a mean mofo.
But you're all better now?
Yeah, I'm pert near, as my grandmother might say. Pert near fine.
Part near fine.
Pert near.
Part near fine. That's so funny.
Yeah, but I'm better.
Do y'all get energized after the holidays, or do you get sad after the holidays?
Oh, I just put that stuff up so fast it'd make your head spin.
Yep.
Tom's always like, "Could we leave it up a little bit?" And I'm like, "Nope."
We left the 27th to go to Utah. And so the 26th, I was like, "Come on, y'all." And they were like, "Ma, like, are you joking? Done. Christmas
I
was
always
OVER on the 26th. Feels so good to get your house back.
I know it does. Get those needles because we have a real tree.
I know. I was about to say, do you still feel strongly that you made the right decision?
Oh, it's Tom's decision.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the one that loves the real tree.
Me too.
Yeah.
It smells so good.
It does, but those needles are so annoying.
Yeah,
Yes.
you see them until February, for sure.
Yeah, every now and then there's a needle.
There she is.
There it is.
Well, I'm glad everybody had a good holiday. Do you
Yeah.
guys make New Year's resolutions?
Yes.
You do.
I do. Yeah.
Do you do like a year in review of the resolutions you had before and then
No.
look forward?
No.
Or
I don't write them down. I only have one New Year's resolution right now.
do you mind sharing it?
No, it is. Had gotten kind of out of the step for intermittent fasting. So that's my New Year's resolution, to get back on the fasting thing, the intermittent fasting.
And because why?
Well, because
Did you notice a difference when you got off of it?
yeah, I mean, I was eating things that I was eating. So the way I intermittent fast is I go. So if let's say I eat dinner at 6:00, then I have 12 plus like 16 hours that I fast.
So you won't eat until 9 or 10 the next day.
Well, so if I have dinner at 6:00, then I don't eat until 12:00 noon.
Oh, so you
So
go
that's-
18 hours.
That's 18 hours.
Oh, so you only eat 6 hours in 6 hour time. But you don't restrict what you eat in that 6 hour time.
No.
You just
It's just giving my body time to not be processing food.
yeah.
You know.
I understand. I think I sort of do that without trying, because I just don't. I'm never really hungry for breakfast. So I think I just naturally intermittent fast, but I don't know. Not philosophy, but the science behind it makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
And it works for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Friday before Christmas was on a Monday. That Friday, I went to the Cooper Clinic. Have you ever done that full preventive
I have. It's awesome.
exam? Yeah. So Craig and I did that, and it was awesome. It was, I have to say, it made me feel.
Do you feel like, oh, I'm so healthy?
Yes.
Good. Good.
Did you do your hearing?
I did not do my hearing because I have excellent hearing. And I did not do my vision because I have the prescription. I didn't do the dentist, and I didn't do the nutrition.
Yeah.
But Craig did. That's what reminded me of it. And she had a lot of good tips, and she did talk about intermittent fasting. But yeah, it's just really, they do that full body scan, EKG, brain health, heart, whether or not you have calcification on your heart, all your blood work, check out your organs. And so it felt good to walk around. When I was driving there, I was like, why did I do this the Friday before Thanksgiving? Like, what if they find something, and then like,
Don't tell me.
Yeah, just call me Monday or Tuesday.
It's better than the Friday after Thanksgiving, because you would have spiked on all of the bad stuff.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah, I did that. I went to that heart doctor when I fainted, and and he did.
Oh, he did an EKG, right?
Oh, he scanned every part of me, and he was great. He told me, he said, you will not die from high cholesterol or any buildup. You have not one speck of buildup in your body anywhere.
Incredible.
And I was like, okay.
That's because you watch your saturated fat so well. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. You know what I was shocked about? 2 things I learned. Probably too much information. But I already went through menopause.
Oh.
I didn't even know.
Well, do you still have a period?
Well, I had the ablation years ago. Oh. So I haven't had a period for 15 years. So I never knew, but I've never had one symptom, not one symptom of menopause.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. So she was like, so you're postmenopausal? I was like, what? Didn't know that. And another thing that I learned is my bones are the health, like a 22-year-old.
That's good. That's good bone density.
I know.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked about. But I think it explained why I healed so well after my accident.
I think that's true.
Breaking all those bones.
Yeah.
So keep your bone health.
Keep those bones healthy.
Okay. Slight left turn. We need to thank our sponsor for today. Dear David Tutt, Tutt. He lives in Colorado. He is truly he reaches out to me all the time telling me how much he loves our podcast.
Oh, how nice.
He's such a fan.
How do you know him?
I think he's just an old friend.
Oh, nice.
But he picked up the podcast forever ago and just absolutely loves it. I think this is the 3rd time he's sponsored.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. He lives in Colorado, and I'm always jealous when he's telling me about how he's skiing. And anyway, David Tutt, thank you so much for being this week's sponsor.
Thank you, David Tutt.
We make it very easy for you to sponsor. If you would like to do that, we welcome it. You can easily Venmo us at Tova Sido. Okay, so today we are kicking off the new year with a conversation about vulnerability. So it was your idea to talk about this, Janice, which of course I love because I think it's such an important word. And I feel like it's a relatively new word. When I say new, I would say, nobody was using the word vulnerable when I was a teenager. I would say it's 15 years old? That people like therapists and I feel like Brene Brown really put it on the map. Like, let's be vulnerable. Like, I don't think my mom ever one time said to me, thank you for being vulnerable.
Well, I think that the reason why they didn't use the word vulnerable was because they weren't vulnerable, because it was not okay to be vulnerable. Yeah. When I was growing up in Lubbock and my father and my mother were from small towns, and the whole thing was just be nice, just be nice and just smile and don't rock the boat, and you don't talk about things, because I like thinking about being vulnerable as also being transparent. And it's not that you're going to be transparent or vulnerable all the time. Sometimes it's not safe to be vulnerable. If someone can't hear it without being aggressive or passive aggressive, then
or dismissive
or defensive,
then
it's then you have to. You don't have to. You may want to determine if the person with whom you want to be vulnerable is safe. And that's where, part of that is about boundaries and about containing ourselves to where we know, where we learn who is safe for us to be vulnerable with. And so our boundary system keeps us contained with certain people.
And don't you think that just happens intuitively or maybe subconsciously? Like you kind of put your toe in the water, you say something, they dismiss it or don't want to hear it or don't want to talk about it. And then you quickly learn, and maybe even at a very subconscious level, that person is not safe for me to have feelings with.
Yeah.
And then you just stop.
Yeah.
You shut down.
And it's not just feelings, it's also about truths. What you think about something, or what, if someone hurt your feelings, then that's pain. And so if someone's causing you pain, a lot of people are not comfortable asking people to take their foot off your foot. So it's interesting. And I think that one of the things that I think is going to be fun for you and I and Tom to talk about this a little bit, because I think that we have a lot of listeners, and I think that it's good for our listeners to see the human part of us that is not zippity-doo-dah or not nice all the time or some of those things. So then that's for us to be vulnerable today, because there are a couple of things that we want to throw out to the listeners to see what happens and to just so that I think at least I feel like I know our listeners, and I hope our listeners feel like they know us, but I'm sure they don't know all of us, and I'm definitely not going to make a list of all of the terrible things I've done or the thoughts that I have or sometimes the words I use, but this is more about being vulnerable as us to our listeners to see if they like it.
Yeah. Well, our numbers show that over the last, since we started this years and years ago, we've had hundreds of thousands of listeners over I think almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And that's humbling. That's a really humbling and motivating. I know that you and I, Tom, you make money from this, but we know your lifestyle has not changed because you got the remedy. No offense.
No, this is I don't do this for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Janice and I make no money on this. And in fact, if we don't get a sponsor,
then we pay Tom.
Then we come out of pocket. And but you and I have talked about this extensively. Like, okay, if this starts costing us money, because we have people who have given so much.
Many times.
And then we have a whole bunch of listeners who just love to listen but don't think about giving.
Right.
But we need them to, we need them to consider it because it costs money. And, we say every week costs about $200 to produce. But that money certainly doesn't go to your shoe fetish or my lip gloss problem.
No. That's exactly right.
I don't know what Tom gets away with his $200 a week, but
hopefully
can keep that
he hides
yourself.
it somewhere.
Totally. Buy a dozen golf balls.
Yeah, exactly.
That Titleist Pro V1.
No, but that is true, and the what I think is kind of interesting, and one of the things that Tova and I talked about and wanted to talk with the listeners about it was that we are interested if anybody has a business, and because we do have that many listens, and so
influence. I think people trust us. We've earned our listeners' trust.
Yeah, and so if you have a business and you want to sponsor an episode of The Remedy, then we can promote your product and make a little commercial.
And we believe make a difference in your business.
Yeah,
especially if it's we have a ton of Dallas, Houston, Austin, So, but we have listeners all over the world. We know that, and so I think it's a unique opportunity for businesses to really promote what they love and what we love about their product. We would only get behind products that we also believe in.
Yeah,
or use.
Or like restaurants that are in Dallas, or if you were in Colorado and, blah, blah, blah. But I think that, and that's why we wanted to be vulnerable with you guys, because first of all, we want to make sure that you understand that Tova and I do not make money off of this. The only way that we would make any money off of this is through book sales, you know, and if
Or counseling.
or
Or a wedding.
Yeah,
The last thing you need is one.
Yeah,
You're not even accepting more people.
I don't do. I mean, I would if somebody contacted me and said, "I'm a listener. Could I come and talk to you?" Then I would do that. But I don't. I'm not. I have no interest in building my practice, but I'm still doing it. But I think that what we want you guys to understand is that we just want to make it. This is where the vulnerable part of it comes in, is that Tova and I talked about it this morning, and I said, you know, I just really want to be as transparent as we can with our listeners, because if you do have a business and you contribute, that's a write-off.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a promotional ad for you, would basically be what we would do.
Business expense.
It's a business expense, you know. And so if you and I are the ones, Tova, that pay Tom because we haven't gotten other people to donate, then it's a write-off for you or I, too, you know.
Of course.
So it is a... it is a way that people might be able to participate in it, and it be good for them and their business.
Well, and I think people really love and believe in what we do. I mean, we get the nicest feedback all
we really
the time.
do. I'm always kind of shocked.
Yeah, it's a very humbling thing to be stopped.
Yeah,
and know that people really love it, listen, get a lot out of it. And we love that feedback. You know, hearing that feedback, whether somebody stops us or whether somebody writes us in our Instagram, it is just all an incredibly humbling experience. We do this because we love it.
Yeah.
And we believe in it. And I think you and I both, I can feel like I can confidently say this is a way that you and I feel like we give back.
It is.
And so many people have said it's free therapy. It is. I mean, it really is. Yeah. I paid you a lot of money.
You did. You sure did. Thank you, Tova.
You're welcome.
Come back.
Yeah, I need to. Lord knows it. But to hear the sound and educated advice from you over, I mean, think about years of free therapy on this podcast. It's the gift of podcasting. It is a free education.
Yeah, it really is.
It's an amazing gift.
It is. And we are always interested in the listeners making, if they want to do something, if they want us to talk about something, we're very...
Totally.
We'll research it. We'll do that. And I think that, and that's what I think the goal is for you and I, Tova. It's not so much that we're going to make $1 million off of this, because we're clearly not. Yeah. But is that we want people to benefit from it.
Absolutely. And we want to keep it going.
Yeah.
And in order to keep it going, the reality is we need sponsors. And we want sponsors, corporate sponsors. Corporate back pockets they're a little deeper usually than individuals. And so that seems to make a little bit more sense. But we welcome individual sponsors. We welcome corporate sponsors. And so if that's something that any of you that are listening are interested in, you can reach out through Instagram. Our Instagram is Be The Remedies. You can direct message. You can email either one of us.
Yeah.
Janice Gaunt at gmail.com or Tova Sido at gmail.com. We love it, and we want to keep doing it. So,
and I think that there are, if you, like, for example, if you have a small business or you're one of the new proprietors to some of the new restaurants on Knox or something, and they want a way to advertise that is not going to cost $1 bazillion, but that we can
reach a lot of people.
Yeah, and we can talk about it, because you and I definitely like to eat.
Oh, I've hit Knox. I haven't been to that brand new restaurant on Knox that everybody's saying is the most expensive restaurant in Dallas now?
Oh, I don't know which
Have
one.
you heard of this?
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about,
Is that
Tom?
the Charles?
I don't.
Yes. It's like the Charles
Maureen's
something.
been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, a family of 4 took their family there, and it cost $1,000.
Wow.
That would hurt. That would hurt. That would leave a mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Janice, when you think about all the things that you've learned over the years about vulnerability and transparency, I know for you, Tom is a very safe place for you to be transparent, for you to be vulnerable.
Tom Gaunt.
Yes, Tom Gaunt. Sorry. Yes.
Well, Tom
yes.
Bridwell would probably I'll call you, Tom, if I need to talk about something.
Good clarification. Good clarification. But under what circumstances or what places or spaces or topics are difficult? When is it difficult for you to be vulnerable?
Well, sometimes it's a little difficult for me to be vulnerable with Tom Gaunt.
Oh,
and not because he is the easiest person in the world to bring something up if there's something bothering me or if I'm going to ask for something. But that goes back to my issues of, well, you shouldn't ask for too much. You shouldn't complain. You shouldn't, do all of those things because that's kind of how I was raised.
Be a good Christian girl.
And just don't rock the boat and just keep it to yourself
Just
and
sit there
be
and
grateful for what you have,
Oh my God, yes.
And so that is still something for me that I like. For example, if I'm questioning something about Tom Gaunt or something, and I'm thinking, gosh, he hadn't talked to me about that for a while, then I think, okay, well, is he mad at me or whatever? But but if I go to him and say, hey, I'm getting a kind of a distance vibe or something. You want to talk about it? He'll talk about it. So it's more about me and not rocking the boat because that's how I was taught.
Are you the bringer-upper in the relationship?
Actually, I think we both are.
It's mutual.
It is. Yeah.
I think that's where I can feel vulnerable in my relationship with Craig is I am the bringer-upper. If we're going to talk about something, it's because I bring it up. That's kind of a burden.
And I think that is typical male-female.
Do you?
I really do. I think that, yeah.
Yeah. That's hard for me. I think Craig thinks it's easy for me because I do it.
So what are you afraid of?
So I mean, it can be about anything. So let's just I'm using our wedding as an example.
Okay.
Yeah. So we get married June. If we're going to talk about where are we going to get married, who's going to be there, how much money do we want to spend, all of those conversations are going to be brought up by me.
Oh,
And so just using that as an example, I don't want to overwhelm Craig with all of the things that we have to talk about. We have to talk about so many things. When you think about marrying somebody, there's lots of conversation that we have to have.
Right.
About everything.
So your fear of being too much that's historical for you.
For sure it's historical for me.
And I mean, but I get that. It's like I can absolutely see you not wanting to be too much for Craig when it comes to your wedding
or anything.
But right now, especially your wedding.
Yes. Like there's a lot we have to discuss.
Well, and
change.
Like where you're going to live, how
are we going to do our finances?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much change coming and it's coming quick. And so there's a lot of things we have to talk about. And so
does he hear you easily?
Sometimes. Sometimes, but so for the bringer uppers of the world, I just have a lot of compassion because, again, because I bring things up, I think Craig thinks it's easy for me to bring things up because I'm bringing it up. And I'm like, okay, dude, I need you to appreciate how hard this is for me to be the one who brings things up. That's a real vulnerable space for me to be, but it's like it has to be done. Mm-hmm. So, Tom, in your marriage, who's the bringer upper?
Probably Maureen.
Do you bring things up though?
No.
See, I feel sorry for Maureen.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. I think that's probably what every guy says.
There it is. There it is. That's Tom being vulnerable. Yep.
So let's say you're upset about something, Tom.
Yep.
Will you bring it up?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so you will bring things up.
Okay, so yes, maybe I do in certain situations, but I feel like she does it more.
Because she has more feelings about things? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So what topic is the hardest for you and to bring up, Tom? Is it financial? Is it sex? Is it
No, it's probably
travel?
intimacy.
What kind of intimacy?
I feel like there's this Hallmark card playing in Maureen's mind, or this Norman Rockwell painting playing in her mind of like the perfect weekend with the kid dressed in a cute PJ outfit, and we're sitting we're like all on the couch watching a movie with a big bowl of popcorn. I lean over and give her a kiss on the cheek. And if that doesn't happen, I think sometimes she makes a deal out of it.
Is it the kiss on the cheek or the popcorn?
The kiss on the cheek. But just the whole, I'm sort of being silly, but I guess what I'm saying is I think she has an idea of how she wants something to be or how something should be, because probably that's how it was with her folks. And I get that. My folks were not like that.
Are you talking about loving, affectionate?
Yes, and just intimacy and just like
feelings,
yes,
lots of expression of love.
I love this. I love the breakdown. The word intimacy is into me you see, and into you I see. And that's that cracking that open of like, oh, I got to bring up money, or I got to bring up not having sex.
Wouldn't even be in the top 10 things that we fight about. Money is not something that we fight about, and the reason is because we have our finances separate.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to fight.
Yeah.
But I just, I've never been that good at intimacy. I'll admit it, but
so she wants to be seen by you. Now that we're almost
50, it's maybe we can just roll with it. This is who we chose each other because of the way we are. Let's just roll with it.
Tom, no. That is not.
No.
Tom, try again.
One more time, Tom.
She's going to listen to this next week on her walk, and she's going to start punch dancing in the street.
Exactly. Maureen, you bring that up as many times as you need to.
Exactly.
He'll eventually come around to hearing you.
And Tom, I'm going to say something to you that every single guy that's ever sat on my couch and said this, this is just who I am. I want to be like, bruh. Do not ever say that again.
But like, we are who we are. I mean, that's
Janice, take that. Just please take it away.
You were not born to not talk about things.
You're right.
You learned that.
Yes, you're right.
And so
now it's time for you to put on your big boy panties and talk about things.
Especially if it's something that your wife values.
My Peter Pan panties.
Yes, put on your Peter Pan and she can be Tinkerbell.
Totally.
My Peter Panties.
So, Tom, I think this is
Peter Panties.
I think this is a great topic that you brought up because I think it's a struggle for a lot of people in relationships.
I think so too.
And so, Tom, I'm going to challenge you with a question. If you were to acquiesce a little bit and create a more intimate atmosphere for your bride, because that's what she likes, what would that look like? What could that look like? That you would be willing to do?
It would look, I know what it would look like. It would look like what it was like the first year we were dating.
And what was that like?
Where I was really putting on a show.
Tom Bridwell, I feel like you should stop talking. Although I keep asking you questions.
No, it's all right. You were in the marketing phase and you were marketing yourself.
This is so funny because I recorded your book and I'm hearing you say all of these things that you read to me in the book session
that you didn't learn for some reason.
No, I mean, well, I can't retroactively go back in time, I guess. But yes, I mean, that's what it would look like. But I mean, was my granddad doing the first year of dating with my grandmother after 50 years of marriage? Hell no.
No, but should he or could he have done more?
I mean, I think they lived pretty happy. They lived 50 years. I think he was doing it right.
I think he was just doing what he did, and she acquiesced into all of it and said, well, that's just him being him.
Totally. Well, I think you're right, Tom, 100%. And I think that probably, if I had to guess, Maureen's not here to defend herself, but I would.
That's the best part about this.
Oh, but it's coming.
It's coming. When she listens, when I leave a little note, sticky note on.
Don't forget to listen, Maureen.
Exactly. I would venture to guess, and again, I'm putting words in her mouth, that when it comes to intimacy, she has also resigned to, well, that's just Tom, and what he does or what he gives is what it is. It is so to your point, when it comes to intimacy, and then I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that you have acquiesced and you have resigned, that, you know what, well, this is just Maureen and I. But to challenge it and to challenge our listeners, I think that when our partner comes to us and says something vulnerable, I think it would behoove us to be good partners and listen, try to understand, ask questions, and then consider some changes that you can make that would make a difference in our partners' lives. That's the missing piece that I see in so many relationships.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not like, I want you to buy me a $500 million mansion.
I want you to solve world peace. Like, yeah, I would hold my hand.
Yeah, hold my hand. Or can I, if I go to Tom Gaunt and I say, hey, there's something that I really want to talk with you about. He always says, okay, if he's in the middle of a meeting, he'll say, can I get back with you after this meeting is over? Yep. And I'm like, sure. But I mean, he never, ever, ever gets squeamish or anything like that. Or
annoyed because you have a thought.
He doesn't necessarily agree with me all the time, but we do a pretty good job of agreeing to disagree.
Which I think but you're not going to, there's no way you're always going to agree. But no. I think that creating space to be heard and understood, that's the safe space. Because if I take a risk, and feelings are risky, thoughts are risky, and I put a thought out there, or I put a feeling out there, or I put a ask or want out there, and then I get dismissed, rejected, defended, whatever, if I don't feel like I'm being heard or understood, the word is not agree. You do not have to agree with me. But those are my brother is the safest person on the planet for me, because I know that I can tell him anything and I'm never going to be met with judgment.
But the thing that's different about him and you doing this with him and you doing this with Craig is that your relationship with Craig is loaded.
Yes. And that's such a good point,
And the
Janice.
one with your brother is not.
And that's why we can tell our best friends
And that's
things
like your
without
best
being
friend.
so scared. You know, and it doesn't feel so. Yeah, and I am so glad I said that. I'm so glad you said that, because that's why we really have to put on careful gloves, you know, when we go in with our partners, because those relationships are so loaded. They also can be very loaded with our children.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, exactly.
Years ago, I think I've shared this story on here, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but years ago, I was upset with Carter about something. He had told me something. I don't remember what it is. If I did, I would tell you. And I got upset. I got mad. Whatever he shared with me, I got mad. And he said, "See, Mom, this is why I don't tell you anything. Because you just get mad." And I was like, damn it. Like, dang it. Like that. I was failing that part of, but I think a lot of people do that, you know?
Well, as the listener, your part in this is every bit as valuable as the one who's
maybe more
taking the risk to bring it up. So listening without a lot of energy surge is another thing that we need to practice when somebody comes and says, "Hey, this is," like, let's say if Tom Gaunt wanted to have a money talk with me, you know, then that could be kind of iffy, you know, but it wouldn't be with Tom.
Right.
But as the listener, a lot of us will tend to be defensive, and then we're becoming offensive in our defensiveness.
Sure.
And so then you have then that just
explodes.
keeps it, and then that bridge is broken between that.
So one thing that after that conversation, after that time that Carter said that to me, I said to him, "I'm really sorry. You know, I apologize, and I can understand why my big emotions and reactions scare you and don't make it easy for you to want to share things with me." And I said, "So let's make a deal." So this was a remedy that I came up with 10 years ago with Carter. I said, if you have something that you think is going to be hard to say, or might be hard for me to hear, then I want you to come to me, prepare me, and just say, "Hey, Mom, I need to talk to you about something that's really hard for me to say, or might be really hard for you to hear. Is this a good time?"
Perfect.
And then I could say, okay, now I know that he's tippy-toeing, you know, to me.
Brace it.
Yes.
Brace yourself.
And be careful with your big reactions.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference in our relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, I've used that with counseling people, you know. It's you used the example with me years ago when you were talking about how hard it is to be vulnerable and transparent. You the way you described it, you're like, well, it's like you're unzipping yourself and you're
cracking yourself open. And it's like,
yes, unzipping the inside of you to be seen. And shit, there's just a whole bunch of stuff we keep zipped up because it's too scary.
And you don't have to tell your partner everything.
Yeah.
It's not.
You taught me that.
Yeah. There are things that you don't have to say. And even though you feel the compulsion to do it, but if you look at the effect, and you better determine if it's worth it. You know, so
much of what we feel like we need to tell our partner has to do with us,
it
not
does.
them. And I think a lot of religious stuff that we grew up with, that whole confession, and you have to tell everybody everything. You have to always tell the truth. I'm not saying lie, and I'm not saying have big
you don't
bad
have
secrets.
to tell. Yeah,
but I don't. There's a whole bunch of things about not a whole bunch of things, but there's things about my life or my past or what that I don't need to go have confession with Craig.
No,
or my children.
No,
no.
But me, because I'm curious. You can I will be your priest.
Hey, everybody needs one. Just one. I'm pretty sure you already know all my stuff. Oh my gosh. So Tom, wait a minute. You asked him what the hardest thing for him. Did you ask him? I know you asked about Maureen, but did you ask Tom what the hardest thing for him to be vulnerable about is?
I don't know. What would that be, Tom? Did I ask you?
You said you said intimacy, but that was what Maureen wants from you that you're not giving her. What about what's hard for you to be vulnerable about?
You mean with regards to like trying to approach her about something about her?
Anything.
Well,
I mean, you could even say something with your dad or when in life do you feel like it is incredibly difficult for you to be vulnerable? When it pertains to this person or this subject?
Yeah, probably just, I don't know, maybe my weight. I don't know. That would be probably the only thing.
You've said that before.
Yeah.
That's a soft spot for you.
It's really dumb though. I mean, I don't think it's not like it just weights me down.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm just consumed by it. It's just whenever, I would say that's just like the one thing about myself that I try to just like sweep under the rug.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Just avoid it at all costs. But maybe this year's going to be different.
I think a lot of times that for guys, it's hard for guys sometimes to ask for sex or to bring it up and say, hey, we haven't had sex.
Out of fear of being rejected?
Mm-hmm. Or that the woman might be like, oh, for Pete's sakes, I'm busy. You know, I mean, it's like they might get
God's
defensive.
sakes, we had sex last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that can be hard for both parties.
Yeah.
Or for one or the other to be like, you know what, I'm just really not in the mood to be like taking care of themselves and say it's not something I want to do right now because I'm tired or whatever. You know, but I think that can be. I think discussions about sex are really important, and it's very vulnerable, and yet it really helps a marriage if they'll talk about it, because I have men that will say, well, I mean, she never wants to do it, you know, and they're mad and resentful, and I'm like, well, have you talked to them about it? Because no, I shouldn't have to talk about it. And I'm like, well, you do have to talk about it.
You do.
You've got to ask for what you want because they may not even be thinking about that.
It's so interesting in the premarital counseling that I do because we talk about intimacy and expectations around intimacy.
Sex.
And we talk about intimacy in 6 categories: physically, emotionally, sexually, intellectually, emotionally, and financially.
Yeah.
And the top 3 that where everybody gets a little itchy is finances, sex, and religion. And I don't know where we got off track as a society, but like so many people think that because it's so scary to be vulnerable in 1 or 2 or 3 or more of those categories, it's just better to not do it.
Yeah.
Oh, some couples just stop having sex, or some couples just don't ever talk about their spirituality because I'm going to stay over here and do my thing. You stay over here and do your thing. And then we just won't ask any questions.
Yeah.
But research has shown that when we experience intimacy in those ways, those are the happiest and healthiest marriages.
Well,
relationships.
A marriage is strengthened, or a relationship is strengthened with negotiation.
Totally.
Even if it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that, but it does help bring you together.
It does.
And
even if you don't agree.
Exactly.
Even if you don't agree.
Yeah.
I think it creates an opportunity for, oh, that's interesting. That's oh, I never thought about that. Or wow, I didn't know that was important to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does create opportunity in every relationship.
Yeah. Ask for what you want, for sure.
Ask for what you want. Well, I think, do any of you do a word for the year? Like, you know how some people pick a word for this year I'm going to try to have joy, or this year I'm going to try to create more peace, or this year I'm going to try to have more love, or any of those. Or have you guys heard of this?
No, I don't want to do that.
Tom, have you heard of that?
I have not.
You haven't?
No, I mean, I guess no, I haven't.
Oh, a lot of people do that. Like it's like something that's kind of a motivator in the back of your mind. Like it's kind of like a driver for a lot of people. But maybe for those of you who do that, maybe being more intimate and vulnerable could be an opportunity. Tom,
I might wait for 2025 for that.
Well, you can just start thinking about it,
Tom,
and you have a year.
Love it.
I think 2024, my word is birdies.
Hey, that's a good word.
That's a good one. I want to do that.
See, that
too.
you could tell Maureen, that motivates everything that I do. Birdies. I got to go practice. I got to go play.
See, mine would be then, okay, vacations.
Yeah, totally. Time off.
Doing nothing.
That's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Well, apparently, that's not the remedy. But we do hope that all of you listening feel rejuvenated and excited for a brand new year. We do hope that in all of your relationships, you consider how intimacy can be a relationship changer.
Be vulnerable.
And being vulnerable can really be a relationship changer.
And you don't have to talk about everything.
God, please don't talk about everything.
Please
That
don't.
will exhaust the hell out of me. Have an amazing week.
Bye.